Hi everyone, Bandanner here. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first of this week's WARNO dev blogs. Apologies, it is late today. I did unfortunately forget all about it, and the fact that there are two in 1 week now, I need to set some kind of reminder on my calendar. I'm obviously very busy with the puppy still, who is now getting much bigger, and unfortunately for like a week and a half now I've been unwell with varying degrees of struggling with it. With what I can assume is the newest version of COVID. So again, apologies if my voice sounds a bit weird here. I expect I'm going to have to do quite a bit of cutting in between coughs. And while it is late in the day, I like to get this done just so I can say, oh, I've ticked that box and it is done for the list. So today is a look at the 3rd Division coming to NORTHAG, the Netherlands 4E Divisie, or 4th Division, keeping it simple. It was founded during World War I, in which the Netherlands remained neutral, but saw action during a brief 5-day German invasion in World War II. Later, during the Cold War, the Dutch reformed the division to be forward deployed in West Germany. That logo is a 4-leaf clover, right? I always associate that with Ireland rather than Netherlands. Anyhow, the 4th Division was part of the 1E Liga Corps, or the Dutch First Corps, which guarded the northeast sector of NORTHAG. This area included Waddensee's coastline, Bremen, and the covering force area next to the inner German border. This was apparently a section of West Germany jutting out into communist territory and likely to be given up, or at least defended through delayed actions in order to buy time for more NATO reinforcements to come. The bulk of the 1st Dutch Corps units were based in the Netherlands. Eugen did provide a very nice map here that they have taken from an Orbat 85 website. It is copyrighted and explicitly states that you have to have the owner's permission before you can utilize the images or any of the content anywhere. So unfortunately I can't post it. Anyhow, for budget reasons, the Dutch government in the 1980s recalled home most of the West German-based troops except for one brigade located in Seedorf. The promise was that I have no idea how to pronounce that. Is that just the Royal Netherlands Army? I'm very confused. They have something in a foreign language which I can't pronounce the first part of. Anyhow, it could deploy the whole corps from its home base in the Netherlands to forward combat positions within 48 hours. It was a rather optimistic prediction to send the whole thing 350 kilometers by rail in wartime. The Dutch even offered to renovate the German railway system in its sector to ensure this redeployment was smooth and fast. So all the Russians needed to do was bomb the railway lines, in other words. However, all NATO exercises and analysis pointed squarely to the opposite result in wartime. The Dutch would be late. The joke was that the greatest problem facing the Dutch is getting to the war on time. No one was under the illusion that the sole Dutch brigade in West Germany was enough to cover the arrival of the Dutch First Corps. Therefore, the Bundeswehr division was placed under Dutch command as additional help to delay an advancing communist enemy. And the Americans themselves kept one forward advance brigade from the 2nd Armoured Division stationed in the region just in case. So next up we have the Netherlands 4th Division details. So the Netherlands and the Belgians are closely connected, not only being neighbours and sharing many links in history, culture and language. Unlike their southern Belgian neighbours though, the Landmacht had been thoroughly modernised by the early 1980s and fielded some high-tech equipment. The main combat power on the battlefield was the Leopard 2A4, with the Dutch armed forces possessing over twice as much as West Germany. Even the 4th Division, a mechanised infantry division, could deploy more numbers of this tank than the whole Bundeswehr. The Dutch also used the same AIFV series of APCs and IFVs called the YPR 765 in Dutch service, as the Belgians also used. The same array of variants were deployed, plus some additional ones including supply, radar recon and TOW-2 tank destroyer. Taking to the sky, the Royal Netherlands Air Force was among the first of 4 partners, together with Belgium, Norway and Denmark, to be admitted to the F-16 program. By the late Cold War, the modern fighter plane had replaced the aging F-5 Freedom Fighter in most, but not all, squadrons. Going back to the boots on the ground and the infantry small arms and other battlefield equipment, the Dutch also used the ubiquitous FN FAL as the soldiers' main battle rifle. Squad firepower was enhanced by the equally ubiquitous FN MAG with the Uzi SMGs used by some support troops. In anti-tank department, the Dutch were slightly more capable than the Belgians in confronting the communist armour. Soldiers could field the M72A3, the Carl Gustav recoilless rifle, and the short-range M47 Dragon. They also had reservist NATRAs, or Corps National Reserve soldiers, which were equipped with older equipment including the L4A4, modernised World War II era Bren LMGs. Support weapons included the MAG 7.62mm and the M2HB 12.7mm machine gun, as well as the TOW2 ATGMs. Anyhow, so what does that mean in the game? So, in the logistics tab, they have a standard logistics department with a FOB, the YPR-765 PRV as a light armoured supply carrier, and the DAF 4400 VRACT medium supply truck. Dedicated command vehicles included the M577 PRCO and the YPR-765 PRCO-CI. The number of slots will be more limited than the usual mechanised infantry division. This is due to, as explained before, the Dutch planning to run their overextended supply lines from far-flung home bases. In the infantry tab, it is a good category for the 4th Division. Bread and butter will be the Panzerinf, a mechanised infantry riding to battle in either trucks, or the YPR 765 PRI, which is an IFV equipped with a 25mm autocannon. These squads will come in command law Carl Gustav and Dragon flavours, the recoilless rifle one being the most numerous. The rest of the Dutch troops are made up of Genie, combat engineers in command, and explosive variants, which will come in the M113 APCs. Apparently the Dutch didn't field flamethrowers. NATRA's reservist squads will also come with a special touch to reflect the Dutch 1980s conscripts' rather lax attitudes towards military discipline. Long hair and beards were allowed in the army, to the horror of other NATO nations. This is accurately and painstakingly reflected in WARNO. These reservist squads field obsolete equipment and carry the reservist trait, yet Dutch conscripts get the option to be vetted, as regardless of their questionable haircuts, the soldiers made up for it on the battlefield, consistently being among the highest scoring during various international exercises and training competitions. To make sure the Domar rebels stay in line, the Kmar Groep squads, being the Royal Military Police, watches over the reservists closely. Apologies if my voice starts to go a bit more at this stage. I am struggling. I keep having to stop and have a drink and cough a bit, you know, the usual. Anyhow, the artillery category for the Dutch will be pretty standard, with the usual complement of towed 120mm mortars of French make, which will be transported by the YPR 765 PRI .50 sporting a heavy machine gun, the M114 155mm towed artillery pieces, and the M109A2 155mm, as well as the heavy M110A2 203mm self-propelled. Over to the tank tab. The 4th Division as a mechanised infantry division might count on some of the best tank support out there. This results in a good category with generous amounts of slots and good unit choices. All the formation's brigades were converted to the Leopard 2A4 by the mid-1980s. These will be deployable in plentiful numbers, enough to put to shame any West German panzer division. There is a caveat, however, as the Leopard 2A4 deliveries to the Dutch started a few years before the true 2A4s were ever built, meaning they were hybrids. Earlier Leo 2s with the 2A4's fire control system, in-game they will have the B-type armour of the 2A1, 2A2 and 2A3, which are all identical, but it will have the 2A4's gun, hence it will be called the Leo 2A4B. Meanwhile, we have marched to war with one card of the true Leopard 2A4C, with the C-type armour, which is the same as the Leo 2A5, the Panzer Division's one. Some older Leopard 1NLs can also be deployed. These are non-upgraded original Leopard 1 tanks used before conversion to the Leopard 2, and now manned by trained reservists filling up the tank regiment's D squadrons. These tanks won't feature the reservist trait, however they won't be able to be up-vetted as much. The final option in this category will be the YPR 765 PRAT, being the M901 ITW's turret mounted on an AIFV instead of using the M113 as a base, wielding two TOW2 launchers. Over in the Recon tab, it's another decent category with the 4-man Verkinners Recon teams. which are transportable in a Nikaf, Korean War era Jeep, or an 8-man Genie Verk, which are equipped with Uzis and satchel charges and go to war in the M113A1 Verk. I assume Verk is recon? The Dutch also field a domestic light recon tank in the form of the heavily modified M113C&V, being the Dutch-Canadian Lynx, sporting a turret-mounted 25mm KDA autocannon. Another new unit is the YPR-765PRRDR, which is a wonderful acronym for Panzerruppers Radar or Armoured Tracked Radar. Simply put, an AIFV armed with a 50 cal mounting a battlefield radar. There will also be an unarmed B-105CB as the recon helicopter, and finally there will be a Dutch long-range 104 Waarnemings N Verkinnings Company, which will deploy the renowned Korps Commandentroepen, the Dutch Army Special Forces. These will be available as a 4-man elite KCT Verkinners teams. And apologies by the way, I'm probably pronouncing all of this wrong, but Dutch is a weird mishmash of languages and how to pronounce things. It's a very difficult language to get your tongue around. Anyhow, over in the anti-air tab, you've got standard slots becoming quickly expensive. They do include the Cheetah PRTL, pronounced Pruttel, or Panzerruppers Tegen Luchtdoelen, which is Dutch variant of the upgraded German Gepard Spag, using domestic equipment which results in slightly improved accuracy. It will also have the older towed Bofors 40L70G, itself a major upgrade over the base model with improved accuracy and anti-air range. The last option is the Stinger C Manpad team. Over in the helicopter tab, it is clearly a weak point for the 4th Division. Much like the Belgian Armed Forces, the Dutch only had a few unarmed liaison and recon Alouette and B-105 light helicopters. There were no attack helicopters available to the battle group, and unlike the Belgian Armed Forces, none were being planned to be acquired. As such, the division is currently being tested with no helicopter support. If this proves too much, some American or West German helicopters might be added as an attachment. So finally, what about the air tab? Well, a generous category in terms of air support. The Dutch Air Force operated 2 types of aircraft in late Cold War, the NF-5A or the F-5 Freedom Fighter and the F-16A. Both of the above aeroplanes used in various roles, including fighter and fighter bomber, and it will be shared between them that they get anti-air, HE, rocket and cluster bomb loadouts. Note that the Royal Netherlands Air Force did not field any anti-tank missiles. They go on to say that the Dutch 4th Division is a hard-hitting mechanised infantry division compared to the more nimble Belgian counterpart with its glass cannon tanks and forward deployment units. You'll get to play with quite a few state-of-the-art main battle tanks, ATGM carriers and good IFVs with infantry support. Where it lacks is solid logistical base and a non-existent helicopter support tab. Anyhow, that's everything for this one. Next time, later in the week, we'll be getting a more detailed look at the East German 9th Panzer Division. Thank you anyone who's tuned in. Apologies about my voice and any breaks in the audio. It will be more so than usual, but hopefully I'll be feeling better by Thursday.